So let's talk about new combines, old combines, paid for combines, and combines you'd like to have. So I have a old combine that's paid for. I like it. It does its job. Could I have a newer, faster one? Yeah, I guess so. Is the newer, faster one going to make me any more money? Doubtful. As a matter of fact, I could actually answer that question with no, the new one's not going to make me any money, because any more money. It's probably going to cost me more because I have to make major payments, and if I don't make those major payments, they take it anyway. This one here can sit in a building for 5 years and I wouldn't care one way or the other at all. So, but what I do have here is the need for bits and pieces, parts. You know, now I have combined, let's see, how many acres have I combined? I've combined about 240, 250 acres. 50, 60, yeah, 240, 250, 245, 250 acres. That's about what I've combined right now. So far, this combine has cost me $2,500 in used parts. 25, exactly 2,500 bucks in used parts, because not even $2,450 in parts. So I'll show you the parts. The parts were the discharge feeder in the back, and the other day, if you remember the video, that Timothy had used an impact gun to remove the nut off of this solenoid. Well, this solenoid is no longer available through New Holland. So I went back to Kiters this morning and got that. And these sensor eyes, these little guys here that tell you that you have motion, they read the, these are electromagnetic eyes. They read that things are turning and the rate that they're turning. It's just a little magnet in there, and it sends a signal to the combine. These are 125 a piece. I bought 2 of them. So that was, they charged me $200 for that solenoid that turns on the 4-wheel drive unit. That is very important, that your 4-wheel drive unit turns on, because you need that. You just need that, especially in wet, muddy weather like we're having. This here is the eye for the rotor. So this one here, half of 125 bucks is what? 75, 60 something, I don't know, something like that. It's a bit of a pain in the ass, but this is it right here. This one here has been broken off, see? It does not even hold on. That thing was useless. It was broke off. So somebody had put silicone on there. I guess it was me at some point. There's the other end of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that one off. I'm going to pop that one off, and I'm going to put this one here on. So there's no sense you coming along with me, because you're just going to hear grunting and complaining and everything else. And I will continue. Well, you know what? Why not? You can listen to me grunt and complain. Most people like to hear me do that. And that's just what's going to happen. So, all right. So I guess, let me put you here. I'll put you down here. Maybe that you can see a little better. I don't know. So we can talk about newer combines and what you need to, why you would need a newer combine, or why I would need a newer combine. And I'm not against a newer combine. Trust me, I'm not. But the reason I don't want a newer combine is because I don't need the debt in a year like what's coming at us. As a lot of people in the ag industry know, that, oh my God, I am not that limber or flexible to take that off of there. Us in the ag industry that know what's coming at us is scared a little bit. I am. I think that the price of everything is going to be so ungodly high that people are not going to be able to afford to put the fertilizer down to grow that crop. So they're going to go with cheaper options like soybeans or wheat or whatever. Where the hell did that thing go? Soybeans or wheat or whatever. Let me go ahead and, that's a 1/2 inch, so I'll have to get that. So soybeans and wheat or whatever. Soybeans you can get away with if you plant them after corn. You can get away without fertilizer on them for a little while. How'd that thing? Yeah, that was kind of dumb. Wheat, a little bit of nitrogen after corn. All the nutrients should be there left over from the corn, and all it takes is what, 60 units of nitrogen. So you're looking at, 10 15 gallons to the acre of nitrogen, maybe a split application of 2 10s, so you get 20 gallons on 32%. So you can do that cheaper, but that's going to drive down the cost of your wheat and soybeans. So if soybeans are 13 now, which I don't think they are, but if soybeans are 13 now, they're going to be 10 next year. Fuck man, that's the wrong size. It is. What a ding dong, I thought that was 1/2 inch. I guess it's 9/16. So if you get like corn is going to be almost unobtainable. The amount of money it's going to cost to plant that particular crop. It's just going to be off the charts, ridiculously expensive. If you've got a way of purchasing fertilizer or getting a fertilizer substitute, commercial fertilizer substitute, poultry litter or something like that, and you can get away with that pretty reasonably, well then I would suggest you do it, because you're not going to grow corn, $5-6 corn for $1,000 a ton anhydrous, or an $1,100 a ton anhydrous, or what is it, $750, $800 a ton nitrogen or urea. I use a lot of ammonium sulfate because we don't have sulfur in our ground anymore. Oh my god, this thing is just going to be a nightmare, isn't it? So I use ammonium sulfate, which is less nitrogen, but you get that sulfur in there, which is a good thing to have if you're, if you know anything about your soil. Do a soil test, check your your sulfur levels. If your sulfur levels are low, then you'll know. Pretty easy to find that out, because we don't have the... Are you serious? What the hell is going on here? Alright, fine. We'll do it that way. To hell with you. That's so weird. Anyway, alright. Let's go and inspect this thing. That was kind of dumb of me to take that off, and it didn't even matter. Alright, so this is what I've got. It's kind of obvious that it's missing its wires. Matter of fact, that silicone or goop, that was pulled out of there, or I think we tried to fix that at some point. At $125, you do the best you can to make things work, and it's kind of obvious that that's what we did. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put this eye on there. I just need to know how fast my rotors are going. I can speed them up and slow them down. If the computer doesn't work, I can't speed them up or slow them down hydraulically, because it just doesn't want to do its job, and it's all done through this thing. So yeah, anyway, that's got some dirt on it, so kind of clean that up. So what are we going to do here? We're going to have, we're going to have a lopsided market, and there's going to be a lot of non-ag folk that maybe don't understand why things are as expensive as they are, and it does kind of fall on theirs. The responsibility kind of sort of falls on them. We have become so dependent on other countries to produce the things that produce crops. Israeli potash, for one. Do we need to be buying our potash from Israel? No. I think there's a potash mine in Utah, and I think another one up here in Maine. New Brunswick potash is okay, but that's Canada. As you get all this money, or all this stuff imported from other countries, then what do you got? You've got a dependency, and that dependency will, I think that's a hot air balloon. That dependency is going to hurt you in the long run. I mean, you may save a few dollars now, or save your reserves now for a later date, but eventually when things go awry in that country, like China's economy, or real estate economy, is collapsing, which real estate is a good gauge for the rest of the country to collapse. But of course, China's putting all their money into military might because they want to be the dominant force in the world, which is scary to me because there's a lot of them. But that's none of my business. What I really worry about is herbicide, insecticide, if I use it, and fertilizers, which come from there. And the rest of the world is going to pay for these things that us farmers need to produce a cheap crop so that they have cheap food. And if you look in history, or look back in history, you will know that pretty much every great civilization failed because of famine. It wasn't because they just decided to disperse. It was they were starving to death and they dispersed because of that. Populations decreased or diminished or disappeared because of famine. And we could be headed for that. I don't really have to worry too much. I know how to grow food and kill animals to eat. So I'm not really worried for myself. Oh, there's all that noise. If you look over the top of them trees there, you'll see a hot air balloon. Yeah. So nice. They're neat. I was always under the assumption you needed a license to run one of those things, but apparently you don't. Isn't that interesting? You don't need a license to run a hot air balloon? I don't know why not. You need a license to fly a car. You ought to need a license for them. Holy shit, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that on there. Timothy did the last one. And I think, and I don't know why they break off, but that one there, it did. It just broke right the hell off. Alright. Let's make sure that this nut fits first. Yeah, it fits. This world keeps spinning faster to a new disaster. Oh man, I don't even want that thing up in there. I don't think I'm going to even put that thing up in there. Just let it dangle like that, it's fine. How many times can I drop that? Anyway, hopefully that eye works, and we're going to try it right now. Pretty simple to find out. Okay, so when I replaced the wire on the other one, I then got my, what do you call it there? I have no eye. Shoot. My rotors are not reading. It could be from corrosion. So let me, I'm gonna go down there. Okay, so before it gets too late, I guess I could probably put the belt back on that roller spreader gizmo. And it doesn't much matter. Tim took it off recently, like the other day. It was laying there, but it's missing now. But anyways, I could put that back on. I do have everything going again. My rotors work. I'll start the combine up here. And so I have an engine RPM, which I was missing before. Let's put it to fan RPM, and then I can do that. So now I've got everything. I need to slow those rotors down a little bit. Even though it's not grinding anything up, everything's running really pretty good. Fan speed is where I want it. It should be running about like that. But my spreader or roller there, the thing that you use to block it out with is not working. So it's saying that it is failing, which is the only thing preventing me from having a normal operation over there. I do have four-wheel drive again. That's working. So I'm pretty happy. I'm just gonna turn that off and turn my key off. Now, my very inexpensive combine. We bought this thing in 2008. I think it was 08. Pretty sure it was 2008. 2007 maybe. As a matter of fact, I drove this thing home however many years ago, 13 years ago, on Route 22 and got pulled over by the cops because I drove it from Tamaqua. It was a 65-mile drive, and I drove it. They weren't going to haul it down. They didn't have time, and they just wanted to make the sale, and they didn't want to do anything but make the sale. So they made the sale. I drove it home, got pulled over by the cops. Wish I was doing YouTube. Well, was I doing YouTube? It was just before YouTube. It was right at the same time as YouTube, 2008. It had to be 2007 that I did that, because I would have had that all over YouTube, and I didn't. So this sensor here does not work. It's a shame, but I'm going to try it again somewhere else. I don't have any other areas that I could test it on because I don't need it. But so anyway, I'm going to call this job a success. Simple reason is it was a success. I got it done. So let me put this stuff where it belongs. Now that combine will go ahead, and I'll probably be able to finish everything that I need to finish up with it. I can finish everything else up I need to do with it with pretty much no further inputs, because I'm down to the last stretch. I mean, if there's something that goes wrong, what's it going to cost? Unless an engine blows up. And if that's the case, an engine blows up, then pretty much going to be buying a different combine anyway. Now, when I say I'm going to buy a different combine, I probably will, but I'm not going to get rid of this one. We will probably, if the things go the way I hope they go next year, probably just have two combines. Use one for a backup, or run them both at the same time. Use a newer combine. I know what I want. What I want is a TR99, like a 2000 to 2002 model. I'm going to get out of the 90s. And they're already over 20 years old, but there's a lot of really good 99s around, and they were probably the king of the TR combines, in my opinion. Those things outran any John Deere of its day, anything of its day. Those 99s were something special. Of course, now they're probably considered antiques, but I can still get parts, new and used, no problem. The 99 actually had wider rotors, bigger rotors over the smaller rotors that were in the TR70 right up to the TR98. I mean, I would settle for a TR98 because there's a lot of parts on this TR96 that could go and interchange between a TR98 and a TR96. Different gearboxes, obviously, but the elevators and all that stuff are all the same, and the screens, I believe, screens are about the same. They might be a little bigger, I don't know, I'd have to look. But the capacity of the combine is much higher. I think they're 350 bushel grain tank versus this 240, 250 that I have. But yeah, no, so to buy a new combine, there's no point in me buying a new combine. There just is 0 point in buying a new combine. I'm not going to spend $1 million to do maximum 1,000 acres of corn and soybeans, or corn, barley, wheat, rye, soybeans, because I am going to be shifting back into the grain markets. I think it's a good time to get back into grain markets, even though the fertilizer costs are through the roof. I just think that, I don't think my door is closed. It isn't. Somebody was in here and it wasn't me. But anyway, I think the grain markets are going to be pretty strong over the next couple of years. So that's it. I'm going to shift into more grain, same hay acres. I'm not going to change hay acres. I'm just going to pick up more ground, better ground to put corn and soybeans on, and then life will be good. They'll be okay, it ain't gonna be great, but it's gonna be more work and more time and more. But yeah, so that's just the way it's gonna work. So just more better ground. I know there's some decent ground around. It ain't great ground, but it's decent ground, and it can be had for a little bit of money, and hopefully that'll work out that way, and I'll just continue with my hay acres, because we're not really sure what's going to go on with the North Carolina jobs. Just not sure. But anyway, that's that.